Okay, what we're going to make today is a frog. It's going to look something like this. Be a little bit smaller than this one, because this one I did in 4 strands and not done in circle. So what you need is you pull out 3 needles. You do a cast on. You can either do open cast on or closed. It's where preference comes in. I'm doing kind of a loopy one. Now you will not need your carriage for this, because sometimes the carriage causes more when I'm doing it this way. Okay, I got my 3 stitches. I'm going to take my weight, which I've got a bobby pin hooked, so I have 2 hooks onto it. Pull your arc out a little bit and hang that in between the 2 center stitches. Then you're going to need another weight, so just take another weight and you can either hang it right with it, but what I like about these particular weights is they have a little circle underneath it, so I just hang it there. And I'm going to need about 40, I think it's about 40 stitches. Now, what you do, because these are real loose, I'm going to tighten those stitches up. I usually use this end, but if I do that, you won't be able to see it. So you pull them out, lay the work in, and then stitch the 3. Pull them out, lay the work. Now, if you noticed, I didn't lay it back in the direction that the carriage would take it. I went underneath and went back to the first one. So I'm always wrapping it into the same direction. And you make a little, it makes a circle. Now that's one way you could do it. Another way, you get a needle bracket, needle brace. Need a little bit more than that. And this is, excuse me, a yardstick and a 1/2 inch piece of wood. That way it puts the needles are now solid. So now I can lay it into the needles and pull the work out and push it back. And the needles are staying still. But you might want to do like one of them, because doing it that way, it makes it really tight. Excuse me. And you don't want it real tight. So you can do it, just lay it, pull each one out individually. So it doesn't work really well either. So the best way, I mean, it's what works for you. The way I like it, except usually I'm using the other hand. Lay it across, stick all the needles and push them back, one at a time. Now you get this nice circular. When you drop a stitch, the first thing you do is grab the work, because with those weights it will disconnect it. Let's see if I can get into a better position. Now you can see when I hold the 3 with my thumb and I push them in at an angle each. Now if this gets rough on the thumb, you can put something hard in between you and it, which I have used the butt of my tool. make sure each one of them stitches. You can do it individually, which is fine. Just make sure you grab all of the yarn. If you're going to do it like that, you might, if you can find a small piece, a small bit of wood to put back here. It's really the inch I use. So I got the stopper. I'm just ignoring those other ones. That way I can push it back. It's the 1/2 inch, not the inch. You don't want to, if you do, like I said, if you do slip a stitch, just quickly grab the work, because it can unravel quite quickly. Okay. This way you just push it up against the board and your stitches will all be the same. And that's just a 1/2 inch block. Now, if you do your carriage and you go back and forth, I mean, which you can, if that's what you prefer, but you'll have a flat I-cord, where this is a round one. Depending on the size frog you want, as to how many you'll want to do. And I unfortunately forgot to count this. But I'm going to go down. It's what you start off with. You make a circle. You know, once your I-cord is completed. And I'm going to measure this here in a little bit. But using the block of wood, all your stitches are the same length. Now, if you happen to have one of those embellishment tools, it'd be great. Just do it that way. I don't have one. That might be long enough. Then you just cast off. Cast off the same way you normally would. And snip here. It'll work. You want to leave a long enough tail so you can sew it together, at least a foot. Okay. Pull it down, and there's your piece. Take your weights off. Now what you're going to do, you get your circle. You're going to sew this together like that. Then you have a circle. Then you're going to sew this together. So you have a number 8. And then you're going to sew that to there. Now this is a small one. And then, now I'm not just bringing it up, I'm kind of flipping it over. And there's a little frog. So you just stitch along this side here. You already got this part sewed together. Where's my needle? There it is. I'll show you real quick. Okay, now this one in length is 10 inches. Okay, so you thread your long tail. Sewing this together, trying to keep the stitches straight. Sew this to this. Now you want it to appear flat if possible. So you kind of just pick up the end stitches. And I'm just overlapping it. And just picking it up. Okay, now once that's done, I can find the center. Now if you want to get particular, which sometimes is a good thing, you'll do it halfway, which that's about 5 inches. So you want the knot at about 2.5. So that's about right. Now you're gonna do about 3 stitches, because that's how long your I-cord is. It's a 3-stitch I-cord. Now if you did if you did 4 needles, you'd do a 4 stitches. Do 1 more. And that's the back side. You'll weave this in later or use it to sew it. Now, you don't want to do that. You want to fold it up and down. And then you want to come up through the cord and pick up a stitch. And again, you want to knit 3 stitches because it's a 3-stitch I-cord. And I'm just coming up through the bottom and just doing it, just catching the stitch. And then you want to bring this over and do the same on this side. Come up through one and then down and up, picking up a stitch, keeping that other tail out of the way, and then down. I got one more on this side to do. So come up through a stitch and down. Now I got the center to do. The center, because you don't want it to be seen, so you want it to kind of go in the direction that the stitches is in. Okay, hang on. I twisted it. You don't want it to twist. Okay, so there we go. This is the smallest one I've made so far, so it's pick up another stitch here to anchor that, so it keeps wanting to flip. There. And then just come up and grab in the front. And coming down on, see how it's separating like that? I don't really want it to do that, so I'm just going to hook it together. piece that doesn't want to cooperate, see how that's kind of bubbling up like a butterfly? Just stitch it to the bottom here. Go up and all the way down. What I'm doing is I'm catching the thread as I go up in one, and catching the thread as I go down in the other. There's your frog. You'll sew it on, like if this was material, you could either sew it like this with a button between, or sew it hanging off where the button hooks into one of these. And it's a closure, the way of closing. Hope you enjoyed it. Remember, I did a 10-inch strip. Now if you want it longer, if you want a bigger frog, make a longer strip and you'll have bigger loops.